Good to see you all. We are in the home stretch. We're going to do Revelation chapter 20 today. We're getting close. There's still a lot of exciting things that we're going to read about today and some crazy drawing that we got to do because there's a lot more visions that are happening. So I'm going to get the screen share running and we will get going on this together. Now, we closed out the last class talking about some pretty intense judgment. The beasts were all fired up and coming out, and they got all the nations ready because there was that big war that was going to happen. But then Jesus slayed them with the sword of his mouth. Jesus, who had all the crowns and diadems on. He had his own army, and he had his rod of iron. But he judges them with his mouth. He throws the beasts into the lake of fire, and all the people died. And there was that call earlier for all the birds to come and to devour the flesh. And so that's cool and exciting. But that made for the ending of the last chapter. But that doesn't really mean that it's the end of the events. And so in chapter 20, it just continues exactly right along. And I saw an angel coming down out of heaven, having the key to the abyss or the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. Look how many names he gets here. The dragon, the serpent, devil, and Satan. He's the dragon because he's been the dragon in the book of Revelation. But why is he called the serpent?
Because of Genesis.
Because of Genesis, right? When he came and tempted Eve. And he bound him for 1,000 years. Is 1,000 years a long time?
Yes, sir.
It is. But is 1,000 years forever?
No.
No, it's not forever. So it is a long time that he's chained up and bound up. It isn't forever, but it's a lot longer than anything in the book of Revelation. And he cast him into the abyss and shut it and sealed it over him that he should deceive the nations no more until the 1,000 years should be finished. After this, he must be loosed for a little time. Okay, so what happened in that little paragraph? This is what we're going to draw on the big board here. Some pretty exciting things. What's the first thing that John sees? Can you remember? An angel comes down.
You're blurry.
I'm blurry? Is that because I'm moving too fast? All right. Here comes this angel.
No.
And he's coming down.
It said that our internet connection is not very.
Oh, okay. I'll keep moving fast, though.
That
Right,
says it was
comes down, and he's got a key, right? He's got a key, and he also has a big chain. And do you know what the key opens and locks up? Can you remember?
The abyss.
The abyss. Good job. There's
The abyss.
And so here's this big abyss. Okay, it's not that big, but it's all I can fit on this. And right now it's open, so I'm going to put like these doors. It's actually, since I made it a round hole, it's got to be a round door. So there's another hinge, and there the door is open, and it just goes down. And it's this down, dark, dark abyss. And do you want to go down there? I don't want to go down there.
No.
Dark and scary. But who does he get? Who does he trap? Who does he get to put into the abyss? The dragon.
That is Satan. I don't know how to draw dragons.
All right, so there's the eyes. Give the angry eyes. Because remember, the dragon has all these eyes and faces. And I don't have time to draw them all, so I'm just doing that many. And I'll give him some angry teeth. All right, there's the dragon's teeth, and it's got all these heads and tail and claws because he's getting thrown down into the pit. And let's see, I guess I got to draw him all chained up, right? So here's the chain, and it's chaining up his legs. It's chaining up his necks. And he's just, oh, look at that. He's so chained up. Can he get out of that chain?
No.
No. And how long is he going to be chained up and locked into this bottomless pit?
For 1,000 years.
For 1,000 years. Now remember, in the book of Revelation, numbers, sometimes they could be actual numbers, like it's going to happen that way, but a lot of times it's just a representation. I think that this is a representation. I think the idea is that, because it said one of the keys was that he would not deceive the nations anymore. Remember how the Satan came out and he got that first beast and it got all the nations to bow down, and then he made the second beast to get even more of the peoples to bow down, and Satan was lying and he was cheating all the peoples. Well, the angel is going to put a big chain on him and put him under lock and key in the abyss so that Satan can no longer deceive the nations. He's done. He can't do it. He might be bad, he might be ugly, and he might want people to sin, but he won't be able to cheat and deceive the nations like he did. Well, at least for 1,000 years. That's a long time. That's a long time. So that's pretty good. It means, but if it's only for 1,000 years, what do we know is going to have to happen?
Gonna come out sometime.
He's going to have to come out sometime. That doesn't sound exciting. Well, it doesn't sound fun. It might be exciting. All right, well, let's go back to reading.
Maybe he's gonna come out at the end of the world, and that would be exciting.
I think that's what a lot of people think. I think it's a pretty good guess. I think that's a pretty good guess. That's about the best I have on that. All right.
That's what it means. I think that's what it means. Like he was loosened for a little time.
Yeah. I think it could be. All right, so here it is. He will, according to this verse, because we haven't read it yet, that he is going to get loosed soon, and that's what we're going to read about here. All right, now what was your question?
What's the abyss?
Oh, the abyss, it's like a bottomless pit. So imagine a hole that's so deep that it has no bottom. So it's like terrible.
Maybe it goes all the way down to the bottom of the earth.
Yeah, well then it would have to go even farther than that. Yeah.
Out into space.
Yeah, maybe.
Forever.
The point is, it's a very bad place to go, right? Yeah. All right, well, let's keep reading. I'm going to go in verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that had been beheaded for the testimony of Jesus. What kind of a person is beheaded for the testimony of Jesus?
Paul
is a good example. What kind of a person is it, though? Why would they get beheaded for the testimony of Jesus?
Christian.
They're Christians. All right, so there's a person, and he's surprisingly happy for having his head cut off. I mean, honestly, look at that. He's in a good mood. All right, so they were beheaded for the testimony of Jesus. That's one kind of person. And for the word of God. So there's some other people that were beheaded for holding the word of God. So now I've got to draw this person holding a Bible, right? Except I didn't have room. All right, so there's the Bible. There's another kind of person. And such as worshipped not the beast. So the people who did not get the, but it didn't say that they were beheaded. I'm just going to draw a couple normal people because it's faster. These people, they did not get the mark of the beast on them. What mark do you think they had then?
God.
They have
God's.
God's image, which I was doing with that cross and heart. Neither his image and neither receive the mark on the forehead. Okay, 2, 3. Or on their hand. And they lived. So think about this. Beheaded people. Are they alive when their heads are chopped off?
Nope.
Nope. But now they are. Now they lived. And all these people who suffered in the time of Satan, they lived and they reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. This is joy. So in the 1,000 years, it's really sad for Satan because he's all locked up and he can't deceive the nations. He's upset. How do you think God's people feel? They feel great. The rest of the dead lived. Hold on just 1 second. I gotta pause this.
Mr. Dan, I have a question.
What's your question?
It's just kind of like, I'm guessing it's referring to the beheaded, maybe, because maybe that was like a famous kind of execution back then. Maybe that's why it's talking about mainly about the beheaded.
It could be. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the idea here is that they were punished for being Christians and they were treated badly for being Christians, but now they're getting good judgment, right? Now the rest of the dead lived not until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. If you're a part of this, you have it good. I mean, these are just the good times of being with Christ. This is what it's all about. Over these, the second death has no power. Think about that. When you get your head chopped off, are you killed? Well, yes. When you get your head chopped off, you're killed. But if God raises you from the dead, do you think death could ever come back and kill you again? No, because God has you.
No.
You are God's. And so you don't have to be afraid of that stuff anymore. And so you can celebrate with your hands up in the air with a big old smile. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And so during this time when Satan's all locked up, it's just going to be easier to be a Christian. It's going to be nicer. You're going to reign with Christ. And these will be nice, good times. And you can celebrate and it's peace. But guess what? Verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are finished, here we go again, right? Here we go again. Satan shall be loosed out of the prison. So that means he's going to come out, right? He was stuck in that hole, and he's going to come out as fast as he can. And shall come forth to deceive the nations again, which are in the four corners of the earth. Gog and Magog. This is an Old Testament phrase. They were these nations that were supposed to be really bad and ugly and mean nations, okay? And so the idea here is whether or not how it mentioned Babylon and how Babylon was already destroyed. Well, these nations aren't around anymore, but they're Old Testament nation names that can be used. And so Satan is getting the bad and the ugly nations together to war. This is what he does every time. Every time. He is just trying to kill us because we are with God and he does not want that. The number of people that he gets together, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Okay, so what we have here is we have Satan coming out of the ground again, right? And there he is, and he's got angry eyes and an angry mouth, and I'll give him another head. I don't have a lot of room for all of his heads this time. So there's Satan, and he's a big monster, and there he is. He looks like a crab. But he's getting nations. There's a king hat. Let's pretend that's a ruler hat. And then they get all their armies together. And then here's another king. I'll give him a crown. And he gets his armies together, and his armies together, and his armies together, and his army. How many times have we drawn this picture, right? It's over and over again in the book of Revelation. What happens every time when the nations come up to fight God? How many times?
They die.
Yeah, they never win. So here's the thing that I keep wondering. Satan must not be very smart.
You froze.
Because,
Froze. You just froze.
oh, okay. Am I unfrozen now? It should work out soon. Okay. But Satan, he must not be very smart because he keeps trying it again. Okay. Well, anyways, here they are. They're like the sands of the seashore. Okay. So there's the water and this is the sand. How many grains of sand could you count if you went to the beach?
No,
There's too much. There's too much. And that's how big this army is going to be. And they went up. Listen to how they attacked. They went up over the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. So that means here are the Christians right in the middle. And all the bad guys are all around them. All around them. How do you think they feel? Scared? Scared and nervous maybe? Except they know that they have God on their side, don't they? They compassed the saints about. They encompassed the beloved city. And then fire came down from heaven. Wait a minute. Was there even a fight? Fire came down from heaven and devoured them. What the? It happened again. It happened again. Just when you thought you were going to get to draw a fight of swords and spears fighting and guns, nope. Every time you think you can draw a picture of fighting in the book of Revelation, God wins. Isn't that interesting? There's a lot of people dying. There's a lot of beheaded people. There's birds eating dead bodies. It's a scary book about scary things, but nobody gets to fight because God just burns up all the bad things. There's a message to learn from that. Are Christians supposed to be worried about trying to fight?
No.
No. Because if the fight needs to happen, God's just going to burn up the trouble. God can burn up the trouble, and we just don't have to worry about it. I think that that's an important thing to remember. Here we are surrounded by the bad guys, and guess what? They're just going to get burned. They're just going to get burned up. Okay, now I'm going to keep reading. And the devil that deceived them, I wonder what's going to happen to him. So let me get the papers out of the way, move up to the top of the page. This is an exciting part, guys. The devil's been causing all those problems, right? Well, now the devil was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where also the beast and the false prophet, where are also the beast and the false prophet, and they shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And so here's your lake of fire. And what happened to Satan? He got thrown into the lake of fire. And how long is he going to be in the lake of fire? Forever and ever. It says he's going to be tormented forever and ever. So does that mean he's going to come out in 1,000 years?
Nope.
No. So this is different, right?
He's gonna die in 1,000 years.
He's going to be gone. Yeah. He might still be suffering, but he's never going to come out again. That's the difference. When Satan gets thrown into this lake of fire, it's over. Hey, if it's over, what does that mean for the Christians?
It means yay.
It means yay. If it's over for him, then that means kind of it's over for us, but not over in a bad way. That means we don't have to worry about him ever again. Did we ever have to fight him? Well, we have to stand against the schemes of the devil, but did we ever have to get swords out to fight him?
No.
No, because God took care of it. God took care of it back then. He'll take care of it for us today. We know we're okay. I thought it'd be good to pound my Bible. No, it's going to be true. Okay. Next little bit. We don't have much left, just one more paragraph in this chapter. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat upon it, him from whose face the earth and heaven fled away. So here's this throne. You start thinking, who do you think sits on a throne that's so important that even
God.
heaven,
God and
yeah,
Jesus.
heaven and earth flee away? And I don't know how to draw heaven and earth fleeing away. So what I think I'm going to draw are clouds, right? There's like the sky and the moon, and they're getting out of town because they're just, God is so big, he can chase even the sky away. That doesn't mean God doesn't like the sky. It just means God is big and important. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
There he is. He's sitting there on the throne. What do you think he's going to do sitting there on the throne?
Rule.
He's going to rule. That's right. And there was found no place for them, for the sky. And I saw the dead, the great and the small, standing before the throne. So now people are going to come up to the throne. Even if they were dead, they're going to come back to stand before the throne. And books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of the things that were written in the books. What things do you think are written in the books? Is it just like stories for fun?
No.
What do you think is written in them?
No.
Bible.
Probably
The Bible.
Not really the Bible, because it could be, but they were judged out of the things that were written in the book. Basically, these books might be the life of this person, or it could be taking the life of this person and judging it on the Bible. What were your deeds, and what did the Bible say? So I don't know if it's the book is about the person, or if you're right, if it's the Bible and they're putting the person up to the Bible. And if they were good, well, let's read. According to their works, okay? So each person has done things in their life, right?
Yeah.
And even the sea gave up the dead which were in it. Here's something to think about. If you die and you fall into the ocean, what's going to happen to your body? A little bit gross, but it's true. What's going to happen to it? Are you going to float forever?
No.
No, a fish
No.
is going to eat you, right? Eventually, or a shark.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to that fish eventually?
He'll
Another
die.
fish will eat it, and then another fish, and then. So how can we find your body? Even God can get you.
Because it would decay.
Right. Well, even the decayed bodies, God can raise from the dead. Does that make sense? I think that's the idea. Every person. The ones that were in the sea, even the ones that were in death and Hades, they all had to come to get judged.
What are Hades?
Hades is a Greek word talking about the place in the realm of dead souls and bodies. Does that make sense?
Also, it was the name of the Greek god of death.
Right, yeah. And so the ones that like Mr. Hades was in charge of. Does that make sense? They all gave up the dead which were in them, and they were judged, every man according to their works. Does this mean you and I are going to get judged someday?
Yes.
That's, I think, what this is talking about. Everyone, even if you go hide in the sea. And death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. Even death, you can draw death, which I like to draw as the hooded guy, right? And you can draw, oh no, even death, poor old death, he's gonna die. And then you have to draw his bone hands.
Can I see?
Oh yeah, I'm drawing it. There we go. Thanks for asking. There's his bone hands. I don't think that this is what the Bible means, but it's fun to draw. There's his bone foot and bone leg. So there's Hades, and then he's just dark inside his hood. Even he gets thrown in. Because if there's no more death, then there's no more death. Do we have to be afraid anymore?
No.
No, we don't even have to be afraid of death anymore. because they're all going to be thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, even the lake of fire. If anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was cast into the lake of fire. And so this person, he did his good deeds, and he's, yay! And God's happy about him. And this person, what if he did bad deeds? Oh, no. Oh. And this is terrible, right? Because this is about judgment. This is about judgment and where we're going to end up. And so that is the end of chapter 20.
Mr. Dan,
Mm-hmm.
you drew such a good face that the camera was trying to focus on it.
Oh, trying to recognize who it was.
Can you be quiet for a minute? I think Mom's calling me. Oh.
So what we have here is, all right, so the last chapter ended with bloody guts and blood, because there's this, Satan tries to get the world together for a fight, and they lose. They lose. And the beasts, they get thrown into the lake of fire. And then Satan, he gets locked up. And can Satan hurt people while he's locked up? He can't deceive the nations. He can't deceive the nations, you know? Maybe people will still do bad things. I don't know. But at least he's not out there doing that crazy stuff. But eventually, he gets out again. And, you know, the moment he gets out, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to try to get that fight together. And he's going to surround the Christians. And God burns them up. God burns them up. It's no more trouble. And he throws all of the bad people into the lake of fire. Even death. Even death. And
Mr. Dan?
that is chapter 20. Yes.
Can I tell you something?
Yes, you can tell me something. I'll get you next, Peter, or Mega.
Some of my Satans, I do like criminals.
Yeah?
Like
Hey, Evan,
criminals.
I'll look at that in just a minute, okay? What you got, Peter? Did you have a question?
Yeah.
What's your question, Peter?
I was wondering if the death and bloody guts and the last chapter was spiritual or physical, like, you know, when the Philistines were attacking the Israelites, and then God made it hail, and you could almost imagine them throwing their spears up into the sky, and they all died. Is that kind of like trying to fight God?
I don't know. I can't remember that part of that story. But as to your question, was it spiritual or real? I can't answer your question. I don't think anybody can. I think it's probably both. This is the thing about the book of Revelation, is that we're trying to figure out how specific and literal these things are. And I don't think we have to worry about that. I just get to enjoy what's it going to be like when Satan cannot deceive the nations? And what should I do to make sure that I will be judged by a book that treats me right? If I listen to the Bible, if I'm reading it, if I'm trying to do everything I can and I'm praying for God's mercy and grace, God's going to help me out. Because I know he's going to take care of Satan. I know he's going to tie him up, and when it's time for him to get thrown into the lake of fire, he's going to do it, and that makes me happy. All right. Well, I'm going to stop that for now, but it was good talking to you.